How's it, everyone? Welcome to OpenCourt. So I'm still in Japan here, and I wanted to introduce another racket in my racket collection. And since I'm still in Japan, I thought it would be appropriate to introduce a racket that is a limited edition to Japan, and that's this racket. So just to be clear, this is not an exclusive racket itself to Japan. It's just a limited edition paint job that was only released in Japan as far as I know. And this is the Yonex V-Core SV98. So this sleek black and white edition of the SV98 was only available here in Japan. This is what the regular version looks like. It's a glossy red and black finish, which still does look pretty nice. The V-Core line is Yonex's answer to Babala's Pure Aero line, or the Head Extreme line. Those rackets are meant to get a lot of spin. They're designed to be aerodynamic, to get a lot of rotation on the ball. This V-Core is also designed similarly. The SV in this name stands for spin vortex, and it's designed with special aero fins here along the ridges to give it a very aerodynamic swinging feel. As far as the specs go, here they are. The one thing that jumps out from the specs page is the string pattern. It's a 16 by 20. More recent editions of the V-Core has switched to a traditional 16-19 to get a little bit more spin. With that extra cross string in the SV98, the strings move a little bit less, so it actually gets a little bit less spin than more modern versions of the V-Core, but it gets a little bit more control and feel. Other than that, there's nothing too unique about the specs. It's a very standard 98 square inch frame that plays very solid from all areas of the court. So I have this V-Core SV98 strung up with the white color of the Yonex Polytour Rev, which is the newest string in the Yonex lineup, and I'm going to do a review on this right after I review this racket, so look forward to that as well. So first, let's dive into what I like about this racket. So the V-Core series is beloved by many tennis players, and I can see why. This SV98 version has an ideal weight and balance for me, as well as I think it will be ideal for most players. It's not too heavy, so it leaves some room for tinkering and customization, but it plays great right out of the box. It swings fast because of its headlight balance, which leads to great spin, which is what this racket is supposed to be meant for. But it also has enough weight behind it to have enough control and spin. It has a great balance of spin and control from the baseline, as a matter of fact, due to that extra cross string. That extra cross string really helps heavy ground stroke hitters to keep that ball inside the baseline. It probably won't get as much spin as a Pure Aero, which has only 19 crosses, but this SV98 gets enough spin because of its technology, because of its weight and balance, and that extra cross string really helps the control aspect and to keep the balls inside the lines. For me personally, the kick serve is really where I judge a racket's spin potential the most, and the SV98 helps me to get enough spin on my kick serves. Especially when playing doubles on the ad side, if I can get that kick serve near the singles line, it really pushes my opponent off the court and allows me or my partner to put that volley away up the middle. I like to be able to dictate pace with my serve and to be able to open up the court. The SV98 is really a good racket all around on all three major serves, the spin, flat, and the slice. Because of its fast swinging nature, it's also great on slices from the baseline as well. The slices stay nice and low, it skids so it doesn't bounce high. I wouldn't say it's a great defensive racket, but it definitely does get the job done. Also, due to the isometric head design, which all Yonex rackets are famous for, it has a nice big sweet spot which leads to some decent power. I wouldn't call this a power racket, that's the E-zones department, but it does get a decent amount of power on the flat serves and the ground strokes that you can dictate pace and be able to win points on your own terms. For me personally, the SV98 shines the most on the serves, especially the slice and the kick serves, because those two serves rely on a lot of spin. This racket allows me to swing the racket really fast over my head to be able to get those slice serves out and away and the kick serves kicking up high out of my opponent's strike zone. And lastly, this is a personal thing for me, but the V-Core series has a slightly longer handle, and so because I have a two-handed backhand, I like having a slightly longer handle. If you guys have used, for example, like a Wilson Pro Staff which has a short handle, sometimes my non-dominant hand will be resting on the throat of the racket, and that kind of bothers me. I never have that problem with the V-Core series because of that long handle, so if you have a two-handed backhand, this might be something you'd like to consider. Now getting into the cons of the Yonex V-Core SV98, the biggest con for me personally is that this racket has a very hollow feel. It doesn't have that pop when I hit the ball. It doesn't have that nice solid feel like a lot of the older rackets do. I sometimes feel like I'm not hitting the ball as fast as I might actually be hitting it, because when I strike the ball, it doesn't give me as much feedback as I would like. And so it doesn't give me the confidence sometimes when I'm in a heavy rally and I'm having to play defense, or I'm really trying to take control of the point. That hollow feel sometimes makes me feel a little bit disconnected from the ball. Some people say they like this kind of feel. I'm personally a touch-oriented player, so I want a nice solid racket that will give me the feedback to be able to hit slices, hit drop shots, hit short angles, those kinds of shots. This racket sometimes doesn't really do it for me. Thankfully, they did improve the feel of the V-Core after this generation, and so if you're like me and you rely on touch, the newer generations of the V-Core might be a better racket for you. Also, because it's only a 305 grams unstrung weight, it does have a little bit of instability on off-center hits. It struggles on reflex volleys. I'm a servant volleyer, and unfortunately for me, sometimes the SV98 struggles to be able to put the ball away at the net, or when I'm reacting to a volley and trying to hit the sweet spot, sometimes I end up not hitting it, and so I just end up hitting a sitter that my opponent can attack. I want to be able to dictate pace from the net. Sometimes the V-Core doesn't allow me to do that. But thankfully, like I said earlier in the pro section, the specs of the SV98 are right in the wheelhouse for tinkering and customization. I think this racket will definitely benefit from a little bit of weight in the head to give it a little bit more solid feel and a little bit more stability on those off-center hits. That will definitely improve the feel at the net to be able to put the ball away, and even if you hit a little bit off-center, it'll still have some decent power, so you won't feel like you're automatically on the defensive. But seeing as how this is a fast swinging spin generation racket, if you're going to put weight in the head, I definitely recommend putting some weight under the butt cap to counterbalance it, so you don't mess around with the balance, because that's really where this racket shines. The balance will allow you to swing this thing fast and be able to generate that spin, which the V-Core series is known for. The SV series is not that old. You can probably still pick some up used if you're interested, if you want a little bit more control. The 1620 string pattern in the SV series will give you that control. If you want a little bit more spin and a little bit more solid feel, I would go with the later generations of the V-Core. Thank you for watching another edition of My Racket Collection, introducing the Yonex V-Core SV98. If you like this content and want to see more like it, be sure you overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an open court.